the, mainstream media.
Oh, please fake it with me, because I get so kind of responsibility or accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think I'm not as optimistic about how many Americans recognize it. I think the, mainstream media.
Oh, please fake it with me, because I get so depressed that nobody gets it.
Hey, so, I mean, the problem is, this is what I think. Firstly, it is, I agree with RFK pretty much completely on this, but it is about all this agree, submit, consent, accept, all the language and all the platforms that they're using, agree, submit, consent, accept, and they're bringing all this stuff in. I mean, the government aren't even I mean, Nick Clegg was saying with Matt Zuckerberg that, the government are behind regulating all this stuff. So the tech people are kind of just doing what they want to the whole world. And things that they do are having an effect on overall consciousness. One of the main things I've noticed is that people just don't speak to each other anymore. Really, it's rare if you walk down the street and someone smiles at you and says hello. I mean, Jimmy Dore was just walking around Chicago, was it? And he was like going, wow, what's happening? They're shutting the city down. They're putting all these fences up. But I noticed Jimmy Dore in that clip, I didn't see him speak to anyone, unless he spoke to them before he recorded it. But he was like, what's going on? I don't get it. But there's the work guys there. Why don't you just, like, Jimmy Dore's meant to be a comedian, he's meant to be a people's person. I didn't get it why he didn't go up to the construction guy and just say, hey, what are you doing? What's all this for? You know what I mean? He didn't even do that. He was just kind of like almost in celebrity mode, like, I'm Jimmy Dore, what the hell's going on? And then even that woman was filming him. It was a bit weird. I think that so all these things like the Olympic Games, football, all the major O2 Arena, all these attractions, notice they all get massive numbers of people either turning up or tuning in, right? It's like everyone, it's not like, there's loads of people, it's not like, there's people in a nightclub, there's people at a dance, there's people out for going for meals, all right, then there's always going to be people doing other stuff, but these stunts they do pull big numbers in, like get large percentages of the consciousness of the nation on either, an O2 Arena or on the football or on this or that. They're playing to capture a lot of attention, right, on singular events. And, it's good to do sport. It's good to have people who perform and make achievements in life, but they've made into kind of like this sort of spectacle, really. So, and all the time, everyone who's presenting these programs and doing these shows mainly, unless you go to like, some of the musicians are now starting to say things at the gigs, and they're on a lot of money. They've lost a lot of money now, a lot of these musicians, because they don't get paid peanuts for streaming, really, It's all just like, everything's all right, everything's okay with the Olympics. It's like, okay, we're doing this Olympics, and then the presenters are all like, everything's normal, if you're watching snooker or the cricket or whatever, and unless you get a rare occasion when these protesters come on, it's very much very, very much like they're getting large amounts of people who can just, tune in and, everything's okay. What's wrong? I'm watching my cricket, or, there's the Olympics on, what could be wrong, when there are actually serious issues. I mean, this is when eventually some of the celebrities start coming round. Obviously, like you've got now with Roseanne Barr, and a lot of the musicians as well. And another thing is the celebrities. But obviously, like Roseanne Barr is a celebrity. She was like, one of the. I grew up watching that program. I mean, it was a phase that there were there's been different programs as you grow up, you know, but while that show was on and popular, we watched in the UK, it was on all the time. So it's like things like that, basically, you know, that show is an example. And now you've got Roseanne Barr saying, you know, that she's kind of against all this kind of stuff. But, you know, RFK really is a celebrity, you know, whether you want to call him a major or minor celebrity, but he's definitely a political personality. He's a household. But the thing is, I would have thought Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a household name. I mean, he was on those TV shows when he was younger. They're ignoring him now, but you can't say that he's not a household name. I think that it's mainly the presenters of the mainstream shows that are like, you know, everything's okay. We come on this show. They might hint at certain things now in the chat shows. So when they've got, like, you know, these Never Mind the Buzzcocks type shows, you know, like comedy, audience participation, kind of comedy. I don't know what you call them. Whether it's not a sitcom, is it? It's kind of like they're like they're almost like you get comedians who are on it, and they just kind of like do jokes about things that's happening really, but kind of make fun out of it in a way that sort of like touches on these subjects, but still get all the punters in, get everyone to have a laugh. They've started to throw a few opinions about, but mainly the presenters of all the main programs are essentially this kind of attitude or conscious, like MSNBC type of thing, you know. They're just trying to get on with business as usual, get all the punters in, entertain them, and really keep them thinking everything's okay as long as you turn up and clap in the audience, or, you know, come on to the game show and answer the questions, or try and win the money or whatever. All these people, the celebrities, they're all it's almost like they're kind of a product of the whole thing. What the problem is, you know, like David Beckham, you know, he's a sports personality, but they get everyone to watch it, and then he's like the model of how if you do well and succeed, then you can be like him if you do well and obey the rules and play by the game, you know, and get his own aftershave out, and his own, you know, he'd be a pin-up model and all this and that, and a lot of them. So some of them now, obviously, are like, you know, what's going on with all this whole issue. But a lot of them, they made the money from the framework and model. And then when you get people like David Beckham, they've got lawyers, you know, like Nick Freeman, you know, to keep these celebrities under control, you know, they get speeding tickets like everyone else as well. And then it's all in the newspapers, and the newspapers follow them around. So, and they can only do what their attorney advises them. This is the problem with RFK Jr., because he is an attorney, but only supposedly in environmental law. He had to get advice from a different attorney for his ballot access. But, you know, like what I said, why do you just got, what's the point in getting advice from an attorney, right? Why not actually get an order? You know, if they said they're going to sue you anyway, well, you know, they can't see. If you've got an order, that's one thing that got me, the federal, well, what is federal question? Well, if there's ever a federal question to ask on the face of this planet in the US court, it would be, excuse me, Your Honour, I want to be the President of the United States of America. What address should I put on my forms? And then, you know, it's just hammered down. Federal judge, you know, you're not going to an attorney's advice then. You're going to, you know, put down what the judge said. This is the thing. I mean, Russell Brand must have access to lawyers, although I know that lawyers tap money. Lawyers are expensive. RFK Jr. is getting his campaign tapped, and all these legal cases are tapping his money. Security was tapping his money. You know, when they didn't give him security, that was using his funds up. But, you know, Russell Brand now, he's like, I'm like, what is he doing? He's just reporting on all the things that are happening. So, you know, anything that happens, he just reports on it, and everyone else is reporting on it. I'm like, you know, rather than just responding to the things that have been triggered and caused and happen, why not, you know, be the, well, you know, Brand seems to just be telling us what's happening rather than saying, right, you know, this is law, you know, this is right, the government are wrong on that, you know, he's not, I don't see Brand or hear him challenging them ever. He's not like he's too scared to, I don't know. Brand is heavily controlled opposition now. RFK Jr. is definitely open to talk about topics and touch on these subjects that they definitely don't want to talk about or address. So that's a start. Even if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself, could possibly be putting himself in trouble by taking on this establishment. But I mean, that's honesty, isn't it? It shows that someone's genuine, and wants to do good. I think that there's a lot of people who are what you call tuned into what's happening and knowing what's going on, like a lot of these campaign groups and action groups, but a lot of them are getting it wrong. They're getting it wrong. They think they're getting it right, but they're getting it wrong. And when you try and explain to them or help them, they don't seem to either listen. I don't know whether it's been intercepted or we're being moderated or whether they just really don't get it and don't understand. But then they get people on all the time. They're getting people on and, they're close to the subject where we need to be, but not close enough. This is the thing with Brand, there's lots that can be said and done now and challenged to really challenge them. And we don't seem to be getting those words out or those things voiced, like the Public Meeting Act online, which people need to know about. I just don't, maybe some people don't have the capacity. Maybe that's a bit hard on them, or maybe they're just a little bit kind of like they don't have the attention focus, or maybe it's because they don't trust certain people. But this is why the mainstream managed to do it, because the mainstream have got what they call these household names. Oh, if they say it on television, then it must be true. If Ant and Dec says it, or one of the presenters on the main channel says it, then it must be true. We must believe them or whatever. So, but then at the same time, you've got all these events now, like that British tech billionaire has just disappeared on his yacht or had a yacht incident. You've got all these events triggering. And now they're saying they've got this monkeypox thing. Oh, what coincidence! We go for our whole lives without any major medical international lockdowns, and then suddenly we get two within a couple of years. It cannot be a coincidence. So they've been racking these up on the shelf, getting them ready for sure. So what is the solution? I think at least the people who are kind of like now kind of paying attention to it and aware of it are kind of, at least they want to do something, even if they're not quite 100% listening, and they're still managing to get persuaded by the government or panicked by the government. That's the Russell Brand, really. I mean, I think the greatest, like when Mark Zuckerberg said recently, oh wow, the most, when Trump got shot, it was the most badass thing that he'd ever seen, just because it involved a gun and a president. It doesn't take much to impress Zuckerberg, But one of the most badass things that ever happened recently was Russell Brand. Russell Brand told everyone not to pay their electricity bills or tax, and then the next day the Queen they announced that the Queen had passed away. Brand tells people not to pay their bills and tax, don't pay UK, and the next day the Queen passes away. And I think Brand, she used to like Brand. It was well known that the Queen apparently liked Russell Brand's BBC radio TV show. She was a fan of it, so it probably would have been. I think that's significant, if she's a person who advocated him and kind of like liked him when he was on the radio and was a fan of his. Maybe even was behind, we don't know, could have been behind him rising up through the ranks, when that Don't Pay UK Girl campaign and Brand got everyone to sign a petition and don't pay your bills, don't pay tax and bills. That must have been, I think that, I don't know whether the Queen really did die or whether or not it was, they put her away at a secret witness protection retirement suite somewhere, you know, on X Island or whatever. We don't know, but for sure, they didn't like that. That's for sure. They didn't like Russell Brand, you know, the guy who's got 6 million views. Sorry, not views, subscribers or whatever, telling everyone not to pay their bills. That really. But I hadn't seen him do anything similar since. You know, I didn't even say, you know, oh, by the way, you know, it's, you know, if Russell Brand would just say, you know, oh, you know, to 6 million people, you know, his subscribers, you know, all this media lockdown, European Union is wanting to, you know, threaten Musk with all this stuff. He said, why don't you get interested in the Public Meeting Act, you know, so have a look it up, you know, see what you think about social media platform, you know, just even to pique person's curiosity. He doesn't need his lawyer on there. He doesn't need a night lawyer to tell him what he can and can't say, you know, for ask people to get interested in something. You know, he's advertising 1,700 coffees and other products on his show. I don't know why he just didn't say, you know, or, you know, the social media is under threat. But did you know England, there's an act called the Public Meeting Act, you know? Have you been interested in that? Maybe look it up. You know, that's it, you know. It's... They're not getting people on the trail of these things. All Brandt seems to do is, oh no, the government are going to take away free speech. It's almost like fueling the propaganda. I don't know whether he does it to kind of rally people and rile them up to rise up, but it almost kind of empowers the government more than everyone else, because it's not the. I don't like the technique. What it does is it actually he's not. I don't think that Brand is challenging them. The thing with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is he does have a lot of law and a lot of points and a lot of things to challenge them on. The thing with Brand now is he seems to be like, you know, oh, you know, they're doing this, they're doing that. Now the censorship state is doing this. Now they're trying to do that. Now they're doing this to us. Now they're doing that to us. You know, he has guests on, but you rarely see Brand on there going, right, you know, this is this, that is that. You know, they can't do this, they can't do that. He never tells them straight. He's always like, oh, they're going to take us rights away. We can't accept this. We have to rise up. You know, response. You know, this is the thing. I think Roseanne Arnold, that Roseanne show has definitely got quite a lot of sway in America. I don't know how many people actually watch her show now or listen to her, if she's kind of like gone off the radar a bit in America, but it definitely was a highly influential show at one point, you know. Maybe that's what it needs, you know. You see, I think, you know, all these Stop Cop City people are switched on, turned on, you know, they're into their political campaigns opposing this kind of like corporate entity thing, but they're in a way they're a little bit kind of like, oh no, what we're going to do about it, you know, kind of like almost kind of like panicking. I think, you know, maybe the Americans that you're trying to highlight here, they kind of like, you know, maybe people who go to WWF, baseball, you know, they're all in this kind of like routine, you know. It's like, you know, it's almost like animals, you know. Rabbits don't like it when you move furniture around or you move the things around. They stamp their feet, they get angry because they're not orientated, they don't know where they are. The thing with people is they like their routines and their habits. Even people who like do a lot of traveling and go abroad, that they're in the habit or routine of, you know, getting on planes and going to different countries. That is a routine in its own sense, you know. People in families, I mean, and there's some people that stay together. Maybe they're in their own routine and they get with another person, and that person is not. You know, they can't get into a routine together that they're comfortable or happy with. But once they do, you know, some people are happy by themselves. But the thing is, you know, they've got us on this kind of little comfy, cushy kind of like, you know, going to the supermarket, going home, you go to work, you're tired, you get home, switch the TV on couch, just watch it. This is the thing. RFK's been reporting a lot of people who have, you know, like volunteered to help him and they've been like going out and sharing flyers, getting signatures, doing all these amazing things to help the campaign. But he's still saying there's a large amount of people who aren't kind of snapping out of it. This is the thing, though. Are they just not bothered? Do they not care? You can't vote, won't vote, or in a way, it's a form of hypnotism, I suppose. In a way, I noticed that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has got this kind of like advertisement thing that he puts it into a lot of his videos that he puts on his channel. It's like that, that section when he's like, leaning up against the glass window with his hand, and it's got the music on in slow motion, and then it's kind of like, this kind of like edit. It's like the RFK Jr. campaign edit. It's meant to be like very much. You see, that's meant to look. That edit section is meant to be corporate in a way. It's got a corporate vibe to it. It's meant to be democratic, American democratic. It's got a corporate flavour to it. But it's meant to be, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Then there's all these, they do all these rallies which are apparently costing quite a lot of money. Maybe maybe they could do a sketch. Maybe they could be like a Roseanne sketch. I don't know if is John Goodman still with us, or is he gone now? I don't know. Maybe I have to Google it. It's a bit embarrassing to have to say that I don't know. I'll have to Google it. But maybe you could do a Roseanne sketch. I mean, maybe to her it might, if she's got her own radio show, it kind of like, that old chestnut thing. But if you think about it, that's what people used to. Those are the main canons that these TV channels were doing back then to keep everyone in those circuits. Americans, they like this WWF wrestling. Everyone says, is it fake or is it real? People challenge whether it's real or not. They like Arnold. They like, they liked the whole thing with Arnold. When there was, all those fires in the forest, and he's like, we're gonna go after these people. I'll be back, and all that, doing his acting kind of thing. They like stuff like that. Americans, maybe there needs to be a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. kind of like sketch. The Americans do like all that Doc Brown stuff. When they do all the Back to the Future reunions and all that, and little sketches and stuff like that. Maybe there needs to be kind of wake up call thing. Little comedy sketch with the really, really, really familiar household names that the Americans trust, and what the Americans, you see, that's the thing with household names. It is magic in a way. They call them familiars. You always hear about these familiars. What it is, it's entities that people trust and are familiar to them, even if they are malevolent. Some people are friends with people for years, and it might be not their best friendship, but it might be habitual. Even if some people's friends might be stealing from them, or even not that nice, but they end up being their friends through certain gravitations or situations in life. This is the thing. But anyway, familiars of better the devil you know. Basically, that's what I meant to say. Better the devil you know, maybe sometimes, than people they don't know. That's a power in a way that the elite know. Like Coronation Street. The thing with Coronation Street, it has been going forever. It's almost like a spawn of the Queen, Elizabeth. Really, it came from Elizabeth, really. And it's still going now. I mean, they had that character Gail left, but they don't need Gail on that show now, because they've got Angela Rayner, who is literally like a real life Coronation Street character who never was on Coronation Street. You see, this is how the Labour Party are doing in England. Angela Rayner, right, is literally, she is the real thing. She's from Ashton-under-Lyne, she ain't a Coronation Street soap pretend. She's Angela Rayner is sold to the public as she is. It's not pretend. It's not pretend. They've actually got Rayner. So, maybe some people are worried about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., worried that history will repeat or something. Maybe that's why they're a little bit apprehensive, I don't know. Maybe people are genuinely worried or scared, don't want to make a big deal about it and reserved. But I definitely know in America, they've got these characters like Alex Jones, but I don't think the Americans necessarily would trust Alex Jones because he's a bit whack, I think they probably do trust Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but they're probably a little bit reserved about it. You would have thought that Americans did trust Roseanne Barr. You would have thought, but do they trust her by herself in her own volition? This is the thing, but she's meant to be a professional actress. You know what I mean? It's even cartoons like The Simpsons. It's the problem with The Simpsons is it was okay to be rubbish. It's pretty much it was basically giving the working class American the okay to be useless and rubbish and lazy and not that bothered and so forth in a way, and maybe they become. That's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been saying. With all the children's health, has never been as bad. Maybe there could be some, figure out some little sketch, get a really good writer to write it, this is, I think there was it, what was that Extinction Rebellion we're going on about? Some little movie clip or something like The Only Way, what was it called? The Only Way Down or something, or I don't know, but it was meant to be, I didn't even watch it. It was meant to be some kind of little film clip. I think it did have Leonardo DiCaprio in it or something. I don't know, but it was meant to be this kind of like little film that was meant to wake everyone up. But I mean, I don't even think I bothered watching it. It really needs to be kind of like I wonder if you could do kind of like some kind of. It needs to be something like Arnold or Doc Brown or Roseanne or something like that. Something like that, which everyone is extremely familiar with them and household name, and they love them and they trust them, like in America. And it needs to be like some kind of short, sharp sketch. I don't know, even Al Bundy or something, something like that. A lot of these people have been appearing, some of them who are, on the side of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., appearing in some of his, videos occasionally. But I think that the thing with the Americans is, I think that they really kind of, there's some kind of like thing that makes it, official. It's like, that gives everyone permission to kind of go along with and do it, Maybe Roseanne and maybe what I actually, every time I see what do you call him now, yeah, I just googled John Goodman. He's still alive. He's lost a lot of weight, actually. Looks a lot slimmer. Whenever I see Scott Ritter, I always think of John Goodman. Every single time I see Scott Ritter, I keep thinking of John Goodman all the time. I think he probably looks more like John Goodman did when they did that Roseanne than John Goodman looks like now, to be honest, when I just looked at a photograph. I think Scott Ritter would probably look more convincing in the role. But maybe like, Roseanne and John Goodman could go like vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like maybe it's like the when they got the TV room with a sketch with a surfer and that, and and maybe I don't know whether it could be 5 minutes long or something like that, but I don't know, something could happen or something, and maybe they end up going to vote and they vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. That would be pretty cool. Or it could even be Al Bundy or something. But maybe Trump could come on TV and they could like make some comedy joke at Trump, like say, "No, I'm not voting for Trump" or something, or I don't know. Or it would be funny. Maybe like I don't know, a kid comes in and pops a little toy gun or something and hits the screen or something at the same time as the news were reporting Trump getting shot. I don't know, something like that or whatever. And then you say, "Oh, screw Trump, I'm going to vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr." And they could actually go, then like could actually be the scene at the voting thing. I don't know if you're allowed to do that in America, but if it's an election ad, you probably would be allowed to do it. I think if it is an official election advert, you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to have someone go voting because that's the whole point. You've got to try and persuade them to vote for RF Kennedy Jr. It could be like, could be any of those shows, But I don't know which one I don't know which of these people are on the side of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I laughed then because I was just thinking of actually the Terminator in the voting booth getting his forgot his ID. That would be hilarious. I think Boris Johnson forgot his ID, didn't he? Did Boris Johnson forget his ID and they wouldn't let him in to vote, so he had to go back home to get his ID? Wouldn't it be funny if, like, the Terminator went into the voting booth and he said, "I'll have the Robert F. Kennedy ticket, please," and she goes, "Have you got your ID?" And he opens his wallet, the Terminator, and he's not got it in, and he goes, "No," and she says, "Well, I can't let you vote unless you've got your ID," and he goes, "I'll be back." Could be some old woman. Could like one of the old women who's helping Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or something. I don't know. I love the Robert F. Kennedy ticket, please. Have you got your ID? Opens his wallet. No. Well, I can't let you vote unless you've got your ID. I'll be back.